frequently asked question this month is, do Chameleon pens work with coloring books? And the answer is yes, they do, and they work beautifully. But not all coloring books are created equal. And I'm just going to give you some hints and tips on how to work with different coloring books. This is the one that started it all, the Secret Garden, and it is a beautiful designs in the book. Unfortunately, this first edition that I picked up, it doesn't have the best quality paper when you're working with marker pens, any marker pens. So it's quite good for colored pencil, but most markers will bleed through here, and alcohol pens will as well. What I do suggest is to put a piece of paper in between, and this way it'll help protect any of the designs you've got underneath. Now, fortunately, it will not protect the design that's on the back side that you're working with. So I'll show you. You can actually get into some of the smallest areas, which is fantastic, using Chameleon pens. That's why they're so ideal for working with adult coloring. I'm using the brush tip right now, but you could use the bullet nib as well. And I'll probably use a bullet nib in those little tiny spaces. But take a look at that beautiful color blend that I'm able to get in such a small area with just using one pen. And that's why Chameleons are so wonderful for your adult coloring books. Of course, it will bleed through on the other side, as I mentioned, so that's why I put a protective sheet of paper. Now, another hint you can do, and this is what I did with the Inky Ocean, which was her other one, is I actually pulled these out of the book itself, and I scan them. And then I print them out on a piece of paper, usually a laser copy paper. 32-pound stock is really good for alcohol pens. That way I can kind of color the designs over and over again. Personal use, of course, but it stops the bleed through. You get to keep both designs on both sides. So that's just a little hint or a tip. Another thing you can do is pick up the little bit better quality version. This is the Artist's Edition, and you can see that it is a thicker board or cardstock that it's printed on. And it doesn't really bleed through. It does some pretty good job. Again, we're not putting multiple layers of color on top of one another. So usually we're doing a one pen blend. So you get that nice color gradation in there, but it won't bleed through. So again, down to the paper quality that you're working on. This is one of my favorite books. I pulled every single one of the letters out myself and scanned them. And that way I can print and redo them as many times as I want for myself. This is the original. That's the scan printed out version. So you can see it's a great way, again, personal use. This is such a beautiful book. I love Anamorphia. It's just got some wacky, wonderful, look at Chameleon, wonderful designs. It will bleed through on this, but what I do is I put a piece of paper, a blank piece of paper underneath when I'm working with it. But I can't wait to finish this one. And you can see some of the designs are just all these cute little guys inside there. So, Color Me Calm, another great one, does bleed through, but that's okay. I just sort of choose the designs I want to work with. Now, speaking of coloring books, we have a beautiful coloring book coming out in May, and it's called Lori's Art Garden. It is by artist Lori Gardner Woods, and this is something we created. The designs are just absolutely gorgeous. I'll show you these, but the other beautiful part is that we thought, okay, if we're going to make a coloring book, let's make just something really, really good. Let's do it so that it's functional as well as being beautiful. So we used a spiral bound, and the spiral binding allows it to lay flat a little bit easier. We have a hardback cover on both sides. So the hardback cover actually works as a great work surface. So just put it on your lap and you can color anywhere you want. It is a high quality cardstock that we've printed on, designed for alcohol pens, so it will not bleed through. And it's perforated, so it'll come out as a perfect 8x10, great for framing. But on top of that, what we did was we put a little blank piece of paper in between each design. And that blank piece of paper has a couple of purposes. One, it's designed that way so that when you are working with your chameleons, you can test off on the side. So you just want to say, okay, how is that? Okay, so then that's good, I can go. So it's great to test off your colors, as well as if you are using any other art supplies other than Chameleon pens. If you want to use watercolors, if you're going to be using multiple pen blends, like you're going to put 3 or 4 layers of color down at once, then that's where the blank sheet of paper in between each is fantastic. But the designs that Lori's done is absolutely beautiful. There's 20 beautiful posters inside here that are 8 by 10. Again, perforated, blank sheet of paper in between, spiral bound. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And this will be coming out in May. So keep an eye out for that, Lori's Art Garden. So yes, Chameleon Pens work absolutely fantastic with all of your coloring books. Enjoy your coloring.